Great. Seeing as we don't currently have quorum right this second, we'll start with public comment. Just because other folks who have some stricter deadlines. So just a reminder to those in the public, we have 30 minutes allocated to public comment. Each public comment is really allocated 2 minutes. We've got about 10 seconds left. Put the gallons to the table. Please wrap up your last sentence or two. The first round of public comment will be no audio, no video, followed by audio with video, followed by audio and video. So we will officially begin public comment at 7:03 p.m. Seeing no one, move on to audio and video. Thank you, Nicole. Seeing none, will be the end of public comment for tonight at 7:07 p.m. Seeing as we now have quorum, we'll go back to the top of our agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda tonight? I'm going to add a discussion in executive session under new business to discuss a personnel matter. And I'm going to ask that we allow Dr. Geller and Jessica and James to remain at the table for that.
Actually, can I have a discussion, not executive session or anything, but just like regarding like election board, like operation logistics?
I think in light of the problem here tonight, yes. I'll put that before the executive session just so we have the opportunity for everything else to go first. I think so. Any other thing? Strike back, striking back, striking back. I'm going to just go through the presentations just because I know some folks are not different. So IEP is not here, and I'm assuming we didn't get a report from her, so I will strike IEP. P is here, AAC. Not here, so we'll strike AAC. Facilities is here, FSC is here, General 2 is here, CEC. Strike CEC, transfer rep, P. SWC, did Christina send anyone to report? No, as well as you. CSC is here. And our admin reps.
I'll just try them.
Okay. I'm assuming we didn't get any student wellness programming fund. So we'll strike that. Travel revenue fund. Striking that. And ASR. Yeah.
I heard from Divya today. He's dealing with some family matters. He does have travel allocations. He said he was going to try and get an email to someone during the meeting so that someone could present that on his behalf. I don't know if they've come into anyone yet. I haven't received them. But he was going to try as soon as he got to a computer to send them in.
Okay. I will strike the travel revenue fund. And I don't think anyone would think ASR. So if we get something in time, we can get there. If not, we can move along. Anybody need to repeat the amendments? Got it? Okay, cool. So is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Aaron?
A motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Netta. We'll begin with a roll call with IVP is not present. EVP? Yes. General 1? Yes. General 2? Yes. General 3 is not present. AAC is not present. CEC? Yes. CSC? Yes. CAC?
Yes.
SWC is not present. Facilities?
Yes.
FSC?
Yes.
And TSR? Therefore, by a vote of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 0 to 0, the agenda has been approved as amended. 9, yes. Moving on to the approval of the minutes from April 10th, has everyone had the opportunity to review those minutes? Any questions, comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes from April 10th?
Motion to approve the minutes from April 10th.
Thank you.
I don't have Sarah's.
You want to know? My part.
Yeah.
I will look at
And
that.
Kayla's. And so, that's fine, you guys can just.
Yeah.
Later tonight.
Well, you can send them now, we can change it, but if not, it's the minutes are approved, it should be.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, let's just send them now, just.
So can you approve to leave it at the end of the meeting?
Sure. Make sure we have quorum then too. Okay, so we'll come back to this. We did have a comment. We have no special presentations tonight or appointments, so we'll move on to officer reports. Beginning with the office of president, I will try to be as brief as possible. Last night we had a wonderful interfaith event called Food for Thought that was co-sponsored by the University Religious Conference and the Center for the Study of Religion. We had about 45 students in attendance, and are looking to continue to do interfaith work by working with the URC to establish a student advisory board, which will serve as an independent entity committed to doing interfaith program on campus outside of any one usac office, given that the should ever happens up there. Then we have Thursday night we have our tenants' right workshop that we're doing with groups of urban housing advocates and a couple other orgs on campus. In addition to our entrepreneurship networking event, which takes place at JWAC, which is also a partnership with the Women's Association, Career Center, and Urban Entrepreneurs. And then Friday we'll be doing our UCLA says hashtag visit of memorial and action marking the anniversary of the Columbine shooting and demanding action in response to gun violence legislatively. Next week, we have our Declare Feminism Week. We'll kick it off this Friday with a dozen students going to volunteer at the downtown women's shelter. If you or anyone on your staff is interested in joining our students, please let us know, as space is limited. Next Monday, we have our Atlas for Feminism event, which is a panel on the importance of intersectionality and feminism from 6 to 8 in the Peru Butte room. From 12 to 2, we will be doing packaging care packages for women experiencing homelessness in LA. From 12 to 2 are here at the staff picnic tables. Then Tuesday, we have the Women in Power Lunch, which is from 11 to 1. Applications for that event close on Thursday. That's in the Career Center, Women Association, UCLA Athletics. On Wednesday, from 12 to 3, we're doing our event there, which will be an opportunity for any campus or that is dedicated to women's empowerment, women's leadership, or is willing to make a commitment to women's empowerment, women's leadership, and then coming here, the opportunity at a table, especially because we aren't doing spring activities during this year. We thought it'd be a great opportunity to get different clubs to come together. Then that night, we are doing the partnering with the Alumni Association Communications Department to do women communication, like after degree panel from 6 to 8. And we're teaming up with the Association of American University Women to host a festival of healing, which is a space for healing for survivors of sexual violence, sexual harassment that will take place on the Hill. Thursday, we're doing at noon, we're doing our Women's March and Demand, which will be an opportunity for students to come out for a plaza at noon. We'll be delivering the list of demands that you can compile based off of students' input and feedback on SDSA's policy and education, and delivering that to Murphy Hall to the administration. And then Thursday night from 5 to 7, we teamed up with the Center for the Study of Religion to host an event called Women's Interfaith Stories of Encounter and Empowerment, which will be an intimate opportunity for women of faith to come together and discuss what being a woman means in each of their faiths to them personally. And then Friday will be the culmination of that week, and also the culmination of what feels like an entire year. We'll be hosting, or co-hosting, alongside Mrs. Block, the first ever Advocates for Women's Empowerment and Leadership reception at home. Thank you to those of you who helped promote that and nominated members of your staff, or were nominated by members of your staff, which really contributed a lot of those nomination forms. And that will be it for the Office of the President. Any questions? Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a great week, so congratulations on the
Thank you. If there are no other questions, we'll move on to EDP.
Last week we had our food tour kickoff event on the Hill. Thanks for folks who stopped by. We had about 200 people come through, so that was really great. Everyone in Citrine with the 2 baby goats that we had, they kept jumping over the fence and like running towards space. So we had people who kept like running to get the goats back. It was a great time, great time. We're still having fun making every single Friday focus on budget advocacy. Today, UCSN and EVP offices from across the state have students for a committee hearing. And we also have students, four from our office who are in DC right now. In particular, you might have heard of an education act called the Prosper Act that would be pretty detrimental both in terms of federal financial aid and other civil rights protections in education. We heard that the Republican caucus might be moving forward with that by the end of this week. So lobbying on that in DC. Next week, I won't get more something because I'll be in Sacramento for a second committee hearing. I'm extending the CalRec towards the summer. And then we have one final Sacramento trip happening 2 weeks from now, also on budget advocacy.
Questions or comments? Thank you. Moving on to facilities.
So for the OZ system, just to give like a quick overview of what the OZ system is, it would be a system that would be placed by different like dining halls on the Hill. Students would be able to take food out in like a to-go container and would be able to like carry it around campus and then like deliver the reusable container back to the system itself. It's a system that's been implemented over at UC Merced, so we wanted to bring it to UCLA. We collected around like 200 testimonials of students, and it was like generally positive feedback about the system itself. So we were able to send over like a more informed proposal to the Hill to see what the logistics would look like for implementing these sorts of systems on the Hill. And then second, we have been working with Rural Home Solutions as well as facilities management to begin a water irrigation audit on campus. The audit will start in the summer, so we'll be hashing out the details of it.
Questions for Zara? Thank you. Moving on to FSC.
Alright, two main things. Just first of all, it's currently financial wellness week. There are events tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. So if you look at the FSC Facebook page or my public blog, you'll be able to see different events that we're hosting, and also my office highlighted that in the report, talking about the different things we worked on this year. It's on our Facebook page as well, so check it out.
Questions for Eric? Seeing none, we'll move on to Direct 2.
We're having our international career fair tomorrow from 5 to 7 p.m. We now have 16 components coming, so we have 3 more than last week, and also around 300 students registered for the career fair. So we will be a big event tomorrow. And we also are hosting the Modular Theory Fair in Green Plaza next Monday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have a few students that have different activities and photo campaign. We also invite nutritionists to answer questions from the students. And lastly, we're hosting our dinner globalization next Wednesday. We're hosting 24 students, 12 international students, and 12 domestic students, selected randomly in that registered application. We will have different topic cards about culture, stereotyping, experience at UCI, and we have burgers served food from 6 different parts of the board.
Thank you. Moving on to Jessica.
So Thursday, get my dates right, is our Transfer Women Networking Night, and we're really excited because we're going to showcase all the scholarships and the winners, so it's going to be fun time. So yeah, start that to your network, and I'm excited.
Questions for Sarah? Thank you. Moving on to our active prep school start, so to walk down and updates.
I will send around, Rob sent copies of next year's on-campus housing brochure. He wanted you to have them, and he wanted to point out that somewhere in one of the pictures you'll find Chloe.
Thank you. I have a few things, but I'll just go ahead and email most of them to you. But just as a reminder, the rec deadline is April 27th. I think it's next Friday. For any events that have already occurred or will be occurring up through week 4. So just make sure that you all are putting in your recs, and if you have them after that, you can still submit it. But just as a FYI, that since all of you are basically in charge of your budget fiscal year, that will still include the rest of the academic year. So just make sure that you're still around to sign off on recs. Even after the incoming council is installed, you'll still be in charge of signing off, authorizing any rec forms through the end of the year. Questions for Jennifer? If not, do you have any updates for us?
No.
Good, thank you. We'll move on to our budget allocations right now, we can finish with contingency.
Okay, so, let's do the programming first. For this week, we have 22 applications. The total required was $40,152.90. The total requested was $24,868.05, and our recommendation was $13,380.80.
Any questions?
Eight.
Any questions? Yes.
Can you repeat the second number, the 24,000?
Yeah, the total requested was $24,868.80.
If there are no questions, is there a motion to approve the allocation?
I move to approve the contingency allocation of $13,380.80.
Is there a second? Thank you, Zara. We'll go into the roll call vote. Beginning with EDP? Yes. General 1? Yes. General 2?
Yes.
CEC? CSC? CAC?
Yes.
Facilities? FSC?
Yes.
And TSR?
Yes.
Therefore, by a vote of 9 to 0 to 0, the signing application has been approved. Moving on to contingency capital.
So for contingency capital this week, we had applications. The total required was $3,593.66. The total requested was $3,593.66. And our total recommendation was $3,093.66.
66 cents. Any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the allocation?
I don't see the number. I move to approve the contingency capital allocation of $3,093.66.
Thank you. There a second? Thanks, Chloe. We'll begin the vote roll call. With EDP? Yes. General 1? Yes. General 2?
Yes, sorry.
And CEC? Yes. CSC?
Yes.
CAC?
Yes.
Facilities?
Yes.
FSC?
Yes.
And TSR? Yes. Great, therefore, by a vote of 9 to 0 to 0, this allocation is also approved. So the only remaining allocation for tonight is from our mini fund, which we haven't yet received, so we'll hold off on that. We have no old business tonight, so we'll move on to new business, beginning with CSC funding amendment.
Okay. Okay, so background story on this. Last year's commissioner passed guidelines for a funding body, like around the same time last year, but never actually started funding or like actually put out applications or did anything to start a funding body. So this year we've been working with like a bunch of different people involved with service on campus and Seoul and a bunch of people essentially to put together a more comprehensive funding body under CSE. And what our goal is to basically have like a pilot run at the end of this year to get it started before the next leadership takes over, which is why it's kind of awkward time of getting it approved right now. It's basically a supplemental fund for service, so trying to fund a lot of things that don't get funded by other service funding bodies. It's a really long guideline document. I don't know what the protocol is here for getting approved, but it's really long. It's like 7 pages long. I don't want to read the whole thing too long. A lot of it's like, this is what the usac is. This is what CSC is, right? So I know, Dr. Eller, is it 2/3 approval for this? I looked in the bylaws, I think it's like 2/3. Sorry, I think it's a 2/3 rule.
Before we get to the vote, I just say, like, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so I'm going to questions.
Maybe just like an overview of what the funds are like.
So, I was going to supplement fund even. Okay. It's a supplement fund, so we're essentially funding what you can't get funded elsewhere. We have like 8 line items. One of them is like for conference funding, specifically for like service-related conferences, that can be individuals, and then everything else will be specific to like service organizations as a whole. That includes like tickets and fees for volunteers for like field trips and like any events that they're going to, funding for like volunteer appreciation events and volunteer development events. Which you can get money for that, so people have to like shell out their own money to go to retreats or to do volunteer development events. They want to get doing that. So mostly it's those are the big things, and then there's a couple other really small things, and it'll fund up to $1,500, and it'll be $25,000.
The funding comes from hashtag UCLA Wellness. And have you checked to make sure that it's consistent with the link to the rest?
Yeah, we talked to, Debbie. Really sweet for that. Yeah. I do have a question for you, Dr. Kelly, too. I know we talked about how if the usac is not able to meet quorum, we can put language in there that would allow the commissioner to approve a certain amount. I put a line in there, and I don't know if it's like sufficient or okay. I would love for you to look at it. Let me find what page it's on. because I really just did not have a very easy day. Okay, so I said it's on page, I don't have a page number, I'm so sorry. It's on the second to last page. It says, in the event that usac is unable to approve allocation, the community commissioners is raised to approve up to $500 in funding for an organization that would be unable to receive funding for the following.
What section is that?
It's, in application requirements, it's the very last thing, so right before enrollment. Depending on what time we printed this out, I really added this at like 1 p.m.
Okay.
today.
There's not even enough.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. I remember very last minute, this is something I wanted to include, but I just didn't have the wording.
I would plug in the word discretionary, so the discretionary right to approve up to $500 in funding
Okay.
per organization that would be able to, for events happening before the following council meeting.
Okay. USAC meeting?
Yeah.
All right, that was fine. Does anyone else have a question?
Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the CSE funding amendments?
A motion to adopt the CSE election.
Thanks, Ron, second by Lee. We will begin the vote roll call with EDP.
Yes.
General 1.
Yes.
General 2. CEC. CSE.
Yes.
CAC.
Yes.
Facilities. FSC. And TSR.
Yeah.
Great. And a 4-by-8 vote of 9-0 the amendments have been approved. Moving on to our next item, which is the certification second election ballot. We have the election board. That's
So this is the ballot. It has 39 candidates, one constitutional amendment. They present in the order as laid out in the Constitution. That's about it. You know, it's other than that, it's a pretty standard ballot.
Any questions for Jack?
Yes, Counselor?
Is this the order the candidates appear on, or is it going to be
Oh,
randomly
excuse me,
generated?
So so upon, so Boyd Chin from UCLA IT told me that last year, because the election board paid a one-time fee to randomize the ballot for every individual student going forward into perpetuity. So every time a student, we just presented this in alphabetical order by first name for, the purposes of the sample ballot. But every time a student logs on My UCLA and chooses to vote, they will be confronted with a completely random, unique, randomly selected ballot. Yeah. Yes, Kelly. For the election code, the constitutional amendment shows up at the bottom past that. Sure.
I don't know if people have the answers to this question, but on my UCLA, when people vote, this year, will it have a ballot with the names and the candidate statements, or will they have to click on a separate link in order to?
Yeah, you still have to click on a separate link because it's different. It's a, Boyd told me that it's actual part of the design. It's also like a different server than the actual file.
Okay, gotcha.
And then, after the, sure, all right.
I was going to ask a more general question, but you all thought about how the MFA would potentially affect students' interest and ability to vote, the
Multi-factor, yeah. Well, I do wonder, I think that once everybody gets used to it, I guess they're doing that the same. That'll hopefully, everyone's got to be on UCLA all the time, right? So that's sort of, I think that was the impetus behind putting this online in the first place. But we're still, Sabrina, once we're done with endorsement, Sabrina Thomas is working on putting together our plan for physical polling places where we'll have an iPad and stuff. So we'll still be out there encouraging people to vote and reminding them, even if there's multi-factor authentication. We've got ads going up on the hill and stuff. We're gonna try to make it as persuasive as possible. Sure.
And I think like one recommendation for MFA is like, I mean, we've been in the process of like trying to work on like having email verification like with phone, but like that hasn't happened yet. But I know that if the students don't have access to like a phone at the time, there are tokens that they can get over at Murphy, and then like those tokens will like allow them to have like the codes that are necessary to type in to get authentication. I can like send you that information. That's something that like you could be sharing, like sending to everyone.
Yeah,
just in case.
If we could have, if there's a way for us to like carry tokens, stock tokens at the polling place or something, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I can like connect you so you can talk to them about that.
That's great.
Any questions on the ballot? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the spring 2018 USAC election ballot?
I motion to approve the spring 2018 election ballot.
Thank you, Ross. On the question now?
Yeah. So because my name is on there, should I abstain or does it not?
You're going to approve the ballot, I think that. Sorry? Unless. Okay, so there's a motion on the table and a second. We'll begin the roll call TDP. Yes. Generac 1?
Yes.
Generac 2? CEC? CSC?
Yes.
CAC?
Yes.
Facilities?
Yes.
FSC?
Yes.
And TSR? Yes. Therefore, by a vote of 9 to 0 to 0, the 2018, spring 2018 USAC election ballot is approved. Yay, I'm excited. Thank you, election board. Moving on to our next item on the agenda, which is the election board discussion. Posted to the agenda. I'm going to recommend the election board meeting stick around for this conversation. If you would like to sit at the table, please come join us. There are empty seats. So sorry for the beginning.
Hello, election board, nice to see you. So in light of like the public comment that was made today, I just have some like personal concerns that I'd like to share, since like also like your own feedback. I think this is really important. A lot of candidates, as well as like their campaign teams and like the general public, have been having a lot of issues when it comes to like getting information and like adjusting to like a lot of the last minute changes that have been made. Like for example, when there was a change that was made to what the expense reports would look like, that was initially spread on Facebook and like other forms of social media, and then I had to like reach out to Jay specifically and be like, hey, this is like a type of information that should be like emailed to like the candidates and like others that would be like actually filling out those expense forms. So like, first off, like the fact that the information is not being disseminated in the right way or like a very accessible way is really concerning to me. And I think like that's why a lot of people are having issues with like being able to like access the information and then having issues with like all the changes that are happening. And like, I don't want to be in a position where like we feel like we have to chaperone an election board over the course of the election season. So I was wondering if there would be like a more like concrete or like systemic way that like you all would be going about sharing information about these changes and making sure that these changes aren't happening last minute in the first place.
So our best practices that we've been following for the most part, I have that situation which I actually follow through the past is that our external relations director is going to block sort of the first line of communication with candidates, and whenever we make a change, she usually puts that immediately emails that to all of the candidates. For example, with some financial, put some clarifications to the financial guidelines that we heard, we email that first candidates before we put that on social media. And it seems that in that situation specifically, the wires to get crossed. Specifically in this, with regards, I guess, to the public comment that was made earlier. The deadline, the February, excuse me, April 13th, 5 p.m. deadline for endorsement questions was made clear on the calendar that was approved on March 13th. That has been on our website since March 13th. It was also made clear at the endorsements orientation, which we advertised in the Bruin and on our social media. And we also emailed a good number of clubs prior to the endorsements orientation to try and encourage more clubs that are typically involved in usac to come to that.
On the form itself, the date was different.
On the form itself, the Google form itself, the date was different. Sabrina Topic, my endorsements director, changed that when she noticed that prior to the deadline, a couple of days prior, which I understand is definitely, it's something I would like to avoid. And it is, but at the same time, it was not like it said Friday, it still said Friday or week before, it said week before Friday. The wrong date was the April, it said April 14th instead of April 13th. But it still said Friday. We switched the date to April 13th as soon as we noticed the typo. But yes, generally, yeah, I appreciate the concern. Like we don't want to make mistakes. It's not fun to make mistakes, and I don't want my director. The thing is, we're all working hard. We're students, and we're on a little low and sick. We've got 40 campaign, 40 balls in the air, so to speak, that we're trying to juggle, make sure that we can get everybody access to these events. And we will continue to do our best, and we'll make sure that our best is better than what was displayed in this particular instance in the instance I did just talk about.
It's nice that you have a system, it's just that maybe for just my personal peace of mind, it would be nice to have a more concrete set of steps on what you're going to do in the future when it comes to these logistical things, because even as you said right now, it's yes, you had a system in place, but then there were a lot of things that were falling through the cracks, and that's why a lot of students had issues with dates being different in different places, people just not getting the information on time. So what with all the events that are coming up, with all the future stuff that's being due, what are you going what is your process for disseminating that information so it gets to the people that it needs to get to?
So, like I said, while we're drafting press releases, for example, Isabel Bachman, our external relations director, is working on a press release for the lead candidates, that's going to happen after this endorsements orientation. She sent me she drafted that press release. I looked it over and approved it. Often here will also look it over and approve it. We'll get as many eyes on it as we possibly can because, we have a lot of dates that we're working with. And, it's just we're all looking at these dates all the time. So often we get those little schedules we're susceptible to. So we have to go through a couple of people before we send it over to Dixon. So Isabel will send it out to the candidates, then she'll send it over to Dixon, who will put it on the social media accounts. So Dixon's looking at it too before it goes out to the full public. And then of course, we do have people double checking all the time, and that's mostly how it works for the most part. If you think of if anyone has any sort of idea where we might add an additional safeguard, I'm happy to hear that.
Additionally, maybe we can sometimes we request them to sign, for example, we at the endorsement orientation, we need to sign the agreement form, and that was a way of them to confirm that they heard that the impact is going to be on the board, that the questions are going to be in 114. So I can get them to confirm that they understood the information, but we never would guarantee that everyone was on the same page. So we can try our best.
I'm just trying to find a way that I know that I work on constitution and also I'm just kind of how privilege kind of talk here, so I'm just kind of confused. Also, I'm just going to talk about the ISL situation brought up. I just feel there's also the chance that if they heard about obligation on Monday, and then when they're actually submitting the form, and then the form they're working on is a different deadline, it's just I just feel it was also more or less the student on that, just maybe in the future just really double check 3 times. And I know that also, this is not like personally, you guys worry about the constitution, and I know it's not put in the form in the first place, and I need to put it on constitution. And I think on form before the deadline, I guess. And so we just like all these kind of things that just also make students like really worried too, because obviously it's already under so much stress, and that also make sure you voice like, so like I understand kind of like,
I understand where you're coming from, and I mean, one thing that I'm really happy about is that Sabrina Tompkins has been doing a great job with troubleshooting when she's with that knowledge. Like when you emailed and told us that to point out that the constitutional amendment wasn't accounted for, she added that to the thing, and then she emailed all of the student groups that had gone to the endorsements orientation, so that they would have the opportunity to submit another form and ask a question about the constitutional amendment. And many of them did. And so one of the thing is that so Sabrina's been doing a great job at that, and I totally understand that y'all are worried. Everyone's got under a ton of stress this time of year, and we're doing our best we think our job is to make the job of campaigning as unstressful as possible, as participating as stressful as possible. And specifically the ISLC's situation, I responded to his email earlier today, and I said, it's a tough situation for us, but we have to respect the code and the deadline that was set out by the election, by the usac. But here are about 3 ways for you to get around this. I said, you're still eligible, you got all of these forms in time, so you're still eligible to endorse, candidates and constitutional referendum amendment, if he chooses to, if ISLC chooses to. And they also still have the option of putting on their own endorsements form, which we would help with. We would make sure that all the candidates get that notification. That's something that we've been working on based on the feedback from last year. Is whenever there is an outside endorsements event, we make sure that the external relations team reaches out to all candidates so that they have sort of a double check to make sure that everybody knows about it 48 hours prior.
And also just to ensure the council, we do have a mechanism for like one-on-one case by case, but our emails are going off every second with people asking us questions. We're constantly in dialogue with candidates and their campaign managers. We're always trying to clarify things. So relatively, although you may hear like there are some slip-ups, generally speaking, of the candidates that are running, the problems are very little. We don't have a lot of problems generally speaking. Just 1 or 2 instances come about. But we try to keep everything on a one-on-one basis, case by case. We email people, we try to settle, disputes or problems that may arise. So we're on top of it in terms of like communication.
In recommendation of what communication that you're doing to sort of pacify some of the concerns at the table, maybe if you're sending any official communication to who campaigns, something you can CC the council, if that's helpful, that we all know that communication is happening, and we can be confident in that, and totally hear you say that, and maybe the silence of our end, maybe translated as is something not happening, and that might do it.
I'm happy to CC. Yeah, I'll communicate that to the executive committee. When I group or something. Make sure that that's incorporated into our sort of change process.
I don't have much regarding the endorsement process itself. Can you explain to us the reason behind making it closed rather than open?
So we're just making it closed because of spatial concerns. We've got 40 candidates. We've got 27 clubs that are asking questions, and we also have to put on the first week of candidates event immediately after. The first week of candidates event will be open to the public. But in order to sort of maintain, in order to be able to hold both events and make sure that the endorsements hearing happens at a steady clip, we decided, Sabrina consulted with Maher and I, and we decided that it would be best to close it, live stream it, so that students can watch it if they want to. But like I said, the candidates will be open. And we need to keep the endorsement hearing under 4 hours, which is possible if we stick to the time limits that Sabrina outlined at the endorsements orientation. But in order just to maintain order for us, we want to make sure that we can get through it without raucous applause breaking out as it in recent years. The shorts of handling.
Just to follow up, 2 quick follow-ups to that. What are you doing to ensure that debates can be open to all students? Like, are you taking any precautions with regard to space to ensure that any student who wants to participate has the opportunity to do so?
So debates at this point are still being held in Geneva Auditorium, which is where they were a couple of years ago. I recall, there are more candidates running, so it's not really a comparable situation. we think that we're confident that Danette will be able to house as many students as possible. At the same time, we're still, Dixon, my publicity director, has reached out. We're working on getting the daily rooms, some part of the room media team that handles filming and stuff to live stream that as well, so that we can make sure it's as accessible as possible. And while space on the hill is tight, Isabel is working on trying to secure some sort of overflow room where we can also have the folks view the live stream. So we're working on that. If anyone has any sort of any leads on free rooms than any debates, we would welcome that because it is tough on right now.
I'd like to work with you guys projecting, like, the hill has projections and capabilities, maybe just project on the wall outside the northwest auditorium.
That's a super
That
cool
way it's
idea.
like open and everyone can sit around and watch. And then the next question is, because we've had some challenges with live stream here at the table, like what mode of live stream are you looking into? Is it gonna be Facebook Live, is it gonna be YouTube? And what have you guys disseminate that with Facebook Live?
Tonight we're gonna do, excuse me, tomorrow night we're planning on doing Facebook Live and put it on our Facebook page. That way it'll be recorded so people can watch it afterwards. We're hoping to do the same thing with debates.
There's a days that I'm planning on streaming, I don't think that Facebook Live would be the best. Like, if you're planning on like projecting it and things like that,
Oh.
like Facebook Live is not the best
Okay.
medium, but you would probably have to find something like more secure for debates.
Okay, we'll do that one.
Well, but I think Connect on have like, and
Oh, Chromecast?
yeah, like capabilities, I would
Okay. Oh, that would be
think
good.
that's.
So maybe we can just broadcast it on Chromecast, yeah. See if that's possible.
And I just think that like in the future, if there's stuff that like you need from like candidates or like can representatives, it's not something that should just be like posted on social media, it's something that should be like directly sharing that information. Because even for candidate statements, like I remember I got like an email about candidate statements last year, like no one got anything this year. So like just like keeping like those sort of things.
For sure. Yeah, can't say this is long, so we'll put out an email.
Yeah.
A question regarding timing, because there are 39 candidates, have you gone in and calculated how long you anticipate endorsements taking, just to give students like a rough estimate of when they should expect to show up with the candidates?
Endorsements, so that'll all be addressed in the press release that Isabel's going to put out tonight, but endorsements at the most will top out at 4 hours. So that means that we are projecting that the candidates begin at 11 p.m., which is not great.
Begins that?
It would, yeah, meet the candidates would begin at 11 p.m. It's of course not a mandatory event for candidates or anybody else, but that's why we are having the second week of candidates. I do not.
Is there any way to try to get back to make it less than 4 hours?
We are trying to, that's part of why we close the event, so that we can try and manage the time. More disciplined fashion. It's gonna be, yeah, I think that the problem is that, quite a few, like I said, 27 clubs asked questions, and we've got 40 candidates. So, if you include the constitutional amendment. So, it's just, sort of the basic math is gonna be tough. But on the bright side, Ms. Capolola told me before they really regulated endorsements hearing, it used to be that every single club that was registered at all could participate, and it went on for like 3 days, and every night went to one of them. So,
Okay.
yeah. Usac in the 80s is not so
So just to recap, how do you all plan to improve logistically from this point forward?
we'll double check, triple check on our end before we put things out. We'll email to the candidates first before we put it on social media and CCU and the USAC, the council.
And we should be expecting a press release tonight with information about that.
Yes.
Any other questions? Then,
This is just in regards to the travel grant.
I see that, so we did it. Okay, so let's close this conversation. Thank you to you for any questions.
Thanks for your time.
I'm gonna say, let's move on to travel grant, and then give executive session, so you guys have a couple days we can.
Okay, so the total amount that was approved to be given,
Let me see, just really one. So there can be 9 approved applications, and the total for that is 4,790. Sorry, can you repeat that? Yeah, so, there are 9 different applications that were approved, and the total of those 9, the total number that is being given is $4,790. Any questions? I would just like in the future, for those of you who have consent item forms, we can send that around just so we know what we're voting on in the future. If someone can relay that to Dick, or we're getting her term, but we are voting on things in the future, so we'll get some knowledge other than not. Yeah, I just thought it would, yes, I will make sure that. Okay, we're no longer informed. Yeah, let's get it. Okay, so what was on? So in that case, maybe we can do announcements while the delegate is still here, and then go into executive session so they can be here for as much as possible. Are there any announcements for today? Yeah, Lloyd.
Well, this week is all week. You can find out all the information about those events on our Facebook page. There's an event page for all of them. We're on Wednesdays tomorrow, same time, 7 to 9 p.m. in the Kirkhoff Art Gallery. What else? That's all I got. Oh, yes, Friday, CAC is helping with this student-run activist coalition called usac, Los Angeles Student Activist Coalition, which is comprised of 7 different schools in Los Angeles, and it's like middle school and high school students who are all like organizing this walkout on Friday, starting at 10 a.m., ending around like 3 or 4. So we're just helping them any way we can, spreading information and such. So yeah, information about that will be posted as well.
What is the walkout?
It's about gun violence and gun reform. It's in part the response to the border shooting too, and all the other shootings.
Other announcements? Seeing none, we're now going to move into executive sessions. I'm going to ask anyone who's currently seated at the table, please step out. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, Ryan as well. Sorry, I should have made that clear. So, Ryan, you made to the allocation. Wait, we don't have to, so we can't. Okay, yeah. Sorry, all. Wait, I have to turn on this one. Oh, yeah. So, can you just, Joshua, like, you can wait till representation. Oh, yeah.
No, okay, yeah, it's executive session, and we go back to straight.